Executive Director is joining us here as well. I'm very glad to be here, I'd say almost a year today. I arrived here to Austria on the 29th of September. After working for many years, first at the United Nations as the number 2 ambassador at the United Nations in New York, and then for 6 years in Israel, 4 of them being in charge of the Ministry, Deputy Director General, and in charge of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the relations with the US. And I said to myself, I'm going to work very hard in Austria, but economic, culture, Jewish community, Holocaust remembrance, which comes to me with always, as so many of us, maybe all of us, it's always sitting on our shoulder. And then the day after we moved to our house, the war began, and since then we've been fighting the good fight for Israel here in Austria. But we finally are. The situation in Israel is, as you know, still very difficult, but it's very important to not only to be in Vienna. So last week I was in Strasbourg. I met with, I think you have 20 members of Parliament, European Parliament, Austria has. I can meet with 15 because we don't have any connection with the FPL. And 2 are away, and I met with everyone. And here I came, we came to Innsbruck. We met with the governor yesterday. After this meeting, we're going to meet the mayor. We did some interviews. We have another interview later today. We met with MK Illuminator that do all the decorations, the lighting decorations, also in Israel. Those of you that know Eilat has so much potential. I don't even want to speak about ideas, but maybe one time, if you know the promenade of Eilat, which is not the nicest part, they're working together in the city of Eilat in lighting the place. And then we went to Swarco, which does a traffic 1,200, $1.2 or $2 billion here from Tirol, including the traffic controls in Haifa and in Minarot Carmel, the Carmel tunnels. And then we met with Commerce, and today this morning with the rector of MCI, and Ayani, that we are going to meet, yes, and then the rector of the university, so, and then in the culture as well as the museum. So we are trying to condense everything and also, so this is, and represent Israel and the opportunities. And you do that while and I know some of you have family in Israel. I know that at 3 or 4 sirens went over all of Israel, because at 3 or 4 my family's WhatsApp exploded. My cousin and my nephew and just moved the house, so they're sending just moved the apartment last night. So they're sending, okay, we're testing the new security room. One of our daughter is moving to a house with a secure room in the house today. So she said, oh, that's so nice of the people from Yemen, Israeli humor, because I could say goodbye to all my neighbors, which I haven't seen for 3 months, because they have a downstairs, what we call in Hebrew miklat, a place of security. So Israeli jokes, but so we are still in this situation in terms of what does Yemen have to do with Israel is beyond. I mean, I can explain it if people are interested, but it's beyond even something that you can comprehend. We had, first I'll say about Austria. So I'm very happy to be, I'm very lucky to be an ambassador in Austria. We closed down our embassy in Ireland, so I cannot say, imagine if I were in Ireland, but we don't have an ambassador. We didn't nominate a new ambassador to Spain. Slovenia, we didn't have an ambassador, but this is our, and then UK, other places, the demonstration, the anti-Israeli rhetoric is just unbelievable. The rise of anti-Semitism. It all exists here as well, but I found the government which is extremely supportive of Israel. That doesn't mean 100% with us, but that means I found the government that cares about Israel, and very strong feelings toward the issues of hostages, especially Tal Shohan, but they're continuing. The special envoy to deal with issue of hostages is now in Montana meeting with the American and all other special representatives for hostages. I must say the most moving things for me since here was we had one, Leon Levkovich from the Jewish community of Vienna, who basically brought the whole of Nachal Oz, Kibbutz Nachal Oz, the survivors who came in November, December 2023 to Vienna. Some of them spoke for the first time, and we met, and most of the hostages that are coming out, and we met their families, or we know them like you do, but either they came to Austria, or I'm also ambassador to the UN in Austria in an organization called OSCE, Organization of Security of Europe, and we used our being part of it to bring our ministerial meetings and then to bring families of the hostages. Unbelievable people. There's a lot. I like my job, so I won't speak about Israeli politics if you don't force me. But the Israeli people, if you speak about Liri Albert, for instance, who one of the girls who was released on her, basically the first day in the post. We're meeting with the head of the UN Vienna, and a family member of Tal Shohan. At that moment, 13 members of his family, 7 were killed, and 6 were killed, and 7 were in Hamas's hand, including Tal Shohan's wife, 2 children, and mother-in-law. And the father of Liri, of this girl, he keeps quiet. Thank you. It's Tal, and he keeps quiet. And I say to him, why aren't you speaking to the head of the UN here? He says, but he has 13. I'm joking even saying it. I have only 1. So these are real people, and if you see every family when their loved one is released, talks about the others, including Elisha Arabi, who lost his wife and 2 daughters and his brothers, and is fighting for them, including Tal Shohan, who is a very private person, and came out and it was interviewed last week in all of the Austrian press in order to work for his 2 new brothers who are with him there. We hosted we know his father and mother very well, and we hosted his mother-in-law, his wife, and his 2 children in our house. Maybe one of the most moving events in my career. The mother, for instance, has an NGO that provides seeds to Africa, different than seed companies who just take whatever they have and send it, and they plant it and it doesn't work. it takes those seeds, it brings professional people there, it accumulates it to the right area, and they assist the people, and more than 1 million or 2 million people, I think, in Ethiopia are being fed by what her NGO does. They murdered her husband, they took her away, they were for 52 days in the hands of Hamas leadership, and she has been fighting for Tal. So we see a lot of really the Israeli, with all the difficulty that we know, and the demonstrations, and the right and the left, and all of it, the Arvut Hadadit, as we say in Hebrew, still exists. I don't want to, because you might have questions, and then I'll say what I say anyway. I just say as what I tell is an Israeli ambassador is very special in Austria, not because it's me, which means we have the WhatsApp of the Chancellor, which means we are the only embassy, and the only diplomats, maybe now it has changed, who have met Mr. Stoker. Once they were, when just after Karl Nehammer left, and when we thought there was going to be an FPO government, he asked to meet in order to say, we will keep the ties with Israel, we will make sure they didn't succeed. That's maybe why we don't have the government, thank God, but also to preserve Jewish life here in our commitment to fight anti-Semitism. So we are. So when I meet with, and we basically meet with all. This is her job now that we're going to meet, and now is the new ministers or whatever, and we speak, and that's what I said today now to the Kona Zeitung is, so we speak about Gaza, and Lebanon, and Syria, and Iraq, and Yemen, and of course Iran, that is responsible for everything, and sometimes terror attacks, and what's going to be the fate with Judea and Samaria or West Bank, whatever you want to call it. And still I tell them I'm not the ambassador of the Jewish people. That's, you have leadership, together here, and you have the leadership of Oscar Deutsch, and then you have here Aaron Musikant, who's the head of the European Jewish Congress. But still I say I meet Jews here who are free, in Austria, who are saying there is a future for European Jewry, for Austrian. And then they tell me we want to go to Israel, to the same country, that just walk up with me in by a rocket from a country which they know nothing against or for, just so bad. So this anti-Semitism is very real, and it needs to be dealt with. People are making the right statement. This country made some last move to be able to receive less than free legal and others. In the US life, usually we have a problem. There's a real problem in this country, and you have to deal with it. I'm Israeli. I have problems at home to speak about immigration and whatever. As I also said to the press, this is a Polish story. She says, I know many people from the left who are expert about anti-Semitism from the right and know exactly what to do, what they should do. The other people on the other side, and I know people from the right who are expert about anti-Semitism from the left or from the east, and they can make sure to do it, but they're actually more effective when they work on their own side. And I don't know if she said it right. What they're doing is not fighting anti-Semitism, what they're doing is calling the reports. So to me, it doesn't matter. I think all of us, that's the message we're trying to say. It doesn't matter if it's the advisor or president of the parliament who has Nazi and whatever, or it is anti-Semitism on the streets here, or left in universities. We must. The problem what might here is the good about Shoah and Holocaust is big. That means if you want to have information, you get some. You get much better things. And there are so many places you can go. So many information you can get, and speeches of politicians and others who say that again. Okay. On the other side, there's a lack of information about first the situation in Israel, and there is a connection of Shoah and the situation now in Israel. And this is so important, and we try to explain why Israel is so important for us. We try to explain why there is a connection between anti-Semitism here and the anti-Semitism in the outworld, and what happened on 7th October. This connection is not in the head of people, and we try to explain. It's difficult. Very difficult. I disagree only with one thing that you said. I think problem the information isn't there. By the way, I didn't even know this place, which is the Israeli. I don't remember when you met this professor today. Having an official certainly, if he's a man, he's white, and he's older. That's not really the way to reach it. That's why I said if you are a real if you're a real person, not an official, it's also much more important. So we're doing a lot of work, and then you have the problem that you have in Israel. I mean, you have everything is now internal. You have the political issues, and then it comes out looking different. Why one might think that everyone in Gaza is. You have that people are saying there are no uninvolved in I can help you. I can help you by saying it. My father was saved by, but then I will try to keep it up. But my father was saved by righteous Gentiles. I don't know of one case in Gaza that our soldiers were walking and people said, look, there's a hostage there, or somebody who was replaced. But you say that in Israel. I think actually it's wrong. You don't. There are no people who are, because no uninvolved. That means that as if you're believing that Israel is targeting babies intentionally, which is not correctly. There should be a death sentence to be killed off in war if you hold a gun, even if you are a 16-year-old and under UN, whatever it is called, a child, a 17-year-old who hold a grenade. So let's leave the moral issue. I'm talking about tactically. If you go to Austria or anywhere in the world and you say, well, it's okay, those everyone there is involved. It's just don't expect them to be convinced or to think you are a great humanitarian. And that's why I agree with you that we work also to show the other side of Israel. Israel is not only, I represent proudly the Netanyahu government, but this is not the only government, this is not only Israel, and we have LGBTI, and we have culture, and we have economy, and we have people who are thinking differently.
You have WIS, which was bought by Google now for 32 billion.
Yeah.
That's it, right? And that's also the image we want to propagate also from.
And if you believe that there are no uninvolved in Gaza, and you want to do good for Israel, it's better not to.
Never
You get any reaction from our end?
letter that you sent them, or?
Yes, they were standing by. Now we are in another. They're standing by. By the way, when you say they're standing by their decision,
Do you know?
which is ridiculous because they could have bought me off. They could have said, "Listen, we looked into it,
Right.
internal issue. Next time we will, without they have enough lawyers to do it. Yes."
You better go to service with propaganda for reason.
I will tell
But okay,
Because
I mean they did. If you look at it, Tal Shohan was interviewed when they went to Israel. Pulse 24, all the newspapers, one was missing, ORF. Not because they didn't want to, because the one who organized it punished them for it. So,
all these families was released on the first deal, right?
yes.
And he was just a month ago.
And are you sure, or did they?
We even cannot imagine.
No, we cannot imagine.
Did the ORF reveal who took the decision to place the two interviews one after the other?
They can use their course. This is what.
Do you think it's the correspondent?
Yes, but
that
as
designed
we
it?
now, and we might publish it, I'll wait for their replies. We now wrote to them, the decision making, it goes. I mean, it's a nightly news. It's not that they think for hours
Yeah.
about it, but
But
he sells the idea, the editor or the producers, and the anchor, and everyone is involved. So I said, there were a few people there,
Yeah.
and also in your letter, you don't send a letter to the Israeli ambassador that you know that he might publish it without lawyers and asking the reporters. I said, look, you had here in this cycle 100 people and 10 people at least who were, and nobody raises a flag. And you end the piece by saying, of course, this not be comparable. This is like telling somebody, look, I'm not comparing you to Hitler, but of course you just compared it. I mean, they know it. So I said, I teach my children. I taught my children. Now they're teaching me. But if there's doubt, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you think you need to edit, then it's 3 minutes. You can.
No, it was horrible.
But what kills me is these are not bad people. You say these are lefties, these are links, whatever. This is the new way that we're now saying. We are divided. This is just people who have they lost their moral compass. I think. I mean, he never thought twice about it.
I think
No,
that
maybe.
the biggest problem is not one of left or right. It's the problem that, look at Greta, for example, this Greta, Greta from Sweden, which now became anti-Semitic, her postings are incredible, but anti-Semitism in this new form becomes now fashionable. And that's the point.
I say normalized, yes.
Yeah, it is fashionable. In the years before, it was some kind of.
Was ist das denn? Ich kenne das nicht.
Naja, diese Umweltaktivistin Greta, die
Die tun wir jeden Freitag, Friday for Future.
Friday for
okay.
Future und so, die so viele junge Menschen mit sich gezogen hat. Yes, it's fascinating young people, was there some kind of ecologist young people, and now she became terrible anti-Semitic. It was incredible, it's incredible what happened.
What the damage to the movement that she formed.
Incredible.
But they join everything together.
Incredible damage, but that means that it's some kind of fashion now to become anti-colonist and putting together the destiny of suppressed black people in US and colonialism in the 19th century together with Israel and their politics. They're full of historical false facts and fake news, but it's some kind of fashion. That's the problem. It's becoming extractive.
We have to go to another meeting. I know you have a question.
Let's hope like every fashion is good.
Ja, danke, Rima. Yeah, I wanted to ask, my family, and I wanted to ask as well, like, a bit to your perception, like, anti-Semitism is definitely on the rise in Europe. There's a study that was made on Spring Thorns that about 33% think that you have role-play all the processes that we are feeling and so on and so on. And a study was saying that the way to about this, to combat anti-Semitism was through community, right? Was pursuing people together that, like you said, like, have connections, such as when it doesn't exist, there's no Jewish people are more likely to have these thoughts. So do you have a thing across Europe or from like Western Europe, how to bring about these kind of communities so that Jewish life can also be recognized, create awareness for it in Europe, so it's all equated to people. You see my point?
And that's the issue. That is what we did, for instance, in October 6th. That is why, when was Yanni was formed to have a dialogue. Yanni was formed to have a dialogue between that. That's why we have an agreement on youth exchange with the city of Vienna, and I think also in Bonn we have youth exchange. That is why we do. We have bringing people to Israel. That is why you have the national service in Yad Vashem and in the Austrian hospice, and this is exactly where we should be. At this point, everything is so raw, and I proudly represent the state of Israel. I don't understand why Jews on the streets here have to be attacked supposedly for what Israel does. So when this is over, and I'm talking now only about Austria, when this is over, what we try to do is to reignite and to have more youth exchange, more people coming to study in Israel, to renew much more what you are doing, to have other universities doing it, to work. We will speak later on which doesn't relate, but I want to add the IRA definition, the definition of anti-Semitism in all universities here. But there are the project Birthright, which is an unbelievable project to bring Jewish students to Israel, maybe the most important. Not enough, shallow, whatever. We bring Jews for 10 to have a good Jewish experience in Israel, and I'm not sure it necessarily brings them later to Israel or even makes them pro-Israelis. It's enough for me if they are stronger they had a good Jewish experience and are stronger with their commitment to their people. So that's what we are. Very difficult when all these things.
Because for 7 years I was there first time. When someone had from Israel, they were all support. This part of immigration, suddenly is not everything. Was here come with MCI director. It was here 40 days, and then I met some people from the MCA here, and I told them there is a camp. Why don't you do something? It has nothing to do with that. And a woman who worked there, she helped them to build the camp. And they were very aggressive. They sent an Arab friend from them to follow me. I didn't say I'm from Israel. I just photographed them. And they send, I must get from the entrance, they follow it 300 meters with an Arab friend. You can't, this is Muslim. Like they found that 87%
with Hamas there, and will Europe be crazy enough to invest money again in Gaza? So we will have to destroy it the next time. So I think you can do, but first it's a triage kind of moment. You have to stop the bleeding. And to stop the bleeding is to stand united against the claim that there's no solution with Hamas. There's a lot of argument also in Israel. What is the day after?
Yeah.
So Netanyahu doesn't believe, and he has a right. It's quite logical why it should not be and cannot be the Palestinian Authority, which is corrupt and failed and is not done it. But once there is no Hamas, maybe Trump, maybe the world, maybe we'll be convinced differently. Maybe it will be with UAE and Saudi Arabia and European and American forces. Maybe we will find internal Palestinian leadership. Maybe it will include the Palestinian Authority. This I'm talking now against what we believe in the official policy. Maybe it will be people who will not be called Palestinian Authority or some. Take UNRWA for example. We never told. I can't go into that matter because we are late to the mayor. But we never told the UN you cannot have people who worked for UNRWA working in other organizations as long as they're not terrorists. The organization itself is corrupt. So there are many options, including, and I'm talking to you now against the Israeli government policy, including at some point maybe, if the US and Trump and the UN and everything will say it's quiet, Hamas is not there, we must be involved with Palestinian Authority people, maybe all the options are now. So please do whatever you feel that should be done, but as long as Hamas is there, nothing will work.
But what role do we play in that? What role does the Jewish community outside of Israel play in that?
I'm going to play golf in Gaza, whether you like it or not.
No,